This is the all-new Community Connection. I'm your host, Jade Harrell, keeping you connected to our community. Well, it is truly my honor and pleasure to be sitting with this phenomenal woman today, Dr. Tiffany Anderson, Superintendent of Jennings School District. She has transformed not only the district, but the families, the lives, the children, and the morale of our community. So welcome, Dr. Anderson.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
It's my great pleasure. Share your superhero origin story. How did you come to education to be the Dr. Anderson that we know today?
Well, and I don't consider myself in any way a superhero. I think, and I think I was sharing this with you, we are all anointed for the task that we're given. And I believe that my purpose is to teach. And so even as a superintendent, I'm really a teacher. And in doing so, if you had asked me 20 years ago if I'd be a superintendent, I would have said, no way, I'd be in the classroom teaching. So I'm still a teacher. My classroom just looks different. And it's an opportunity to be, a blessing and a lesson every day. And so with that, leaving the teaching profession, and I taught for about 4 or 5 years, started off in Riverview, went to Kirkwood, and then the opportunity really presented itself in St. Louis City, right on Union at Clark Accelerated Academy. We did some wonderful things there over the course of 5 years. And I was interested in seeing where do the students go when they participate in the DSEC program, particularly since the scores in the county for African-American students, particularly in poverty, were not any better than they were in St. Louis City. So I was interested in looking at that. I became the first assistant superintendent in Rockwood with 23,000 students, the first Black assistant superintendent. And really focusing on the achievement gap, the tutoring centers in the city, taking our kids on college tours, and the achievement gap began to close. And shortly after a couple of years there, I became superintendent in Montgomery County Public Schools in Virginia. Wow. Wonderful experience. And so, and then I moved back to Missouri after losing a family member in St. Louis. And I'm a St. Louis native. So it's good to be back. Yes, ma'am.
That's right. So your curiosity led you to an investigation, a closer look and analysis of, well, what is it that's making the difference for our children? What did you find? What did you discover?
Look, we know that all kids can exceed at high levels, all students. And so it's a matter of if we're going to demand that they are given what they so richly deserve in a high quality education. I have found that 3 things impact a classroom, a school, or a district: relationships, and that's key. Kids will work for you if they trust you. They won't if they don't. And adults are the same way. The second is just pedagogy, just good teachers that know how to teach. And then the third is curriculum, an aligned standards-based curriculum. You don't need to teach to the test or the textbook, but to the standard. And so those 3 things as a teacher were things that I did. And then as a principal and a superintendent, I get the wonderful pleasure of working collaboratively with some amazing people. Jennings has an amazing group of teachers and principals making this thing happen. One person can't do it. And all I get a chance to do is to guide and give a little path. And they've taken it from there. It's been amazing.
You're very humble. We have been since, and I'm not a St. Louis native, but I've been here for going on 12 years. And I've been community affairs producer for 10 of those years, actually 11 of those 12 years. And as soon as I began Sunday Morning Live, one of the pressing issues, continuing issues, prevailing issues was the troubled schools, the disaccreditation, the administrative concerns, the parent and family concerns, the achievement of our children according to the test scores they were given. So something's different. There's something very different about what you saw and implemented. So we know good teachers are hard to find, they say, or it's hard to give them what they truly need to do what they can do under the circumstances they're in, whether it be proper compensation or support and encouragement and appreciation and setting and resources and all those types of things. You came in here in an already challenging situation. There's something different. What was that you did or found?
Well, and I'll give you examples of all three of the areas that I just mentioned and how they work hand in hand. So I started in 2012, and really what, caused me to come to Jennings in part was the challenges.
How did they find you?
Well, again, I'm a St. Louis native, so I think many in St. Louis kind of reached out and asked that I look. And Jennings, my mother lived in Jennings at one point. Both of my parents are in North County. They're pastors. And so just really feeling as though that is the next step in being led. And I will tell you, people thought I was crazy to think to drive 4 hours because I live in Kansas. I get up at 2, I get to work at 6, crossing guard duty at 7.
Wait a minute. People don't necessarily know this about you. You live in Kansas presently.
Yes, ma'am.
And have lived there since you've been superintendent of this district.
Yes, ma'am.
So you drive each morning. You get up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I do. I get up at 2 in the morning, and at the time,
to come do the job here.
Yes, ma'am. And at the time, my children were in high school.
That's a 4-hour drive.
4 hours in one day, 8 hours, sometimes 8 hours in a day, because I do it every other day. Mm-hmm. My children at the time were in high school, and they've since graduated. And my son's at KU. My daughter is finishing up at SLU and will graduate early this year. But initially, I thought, well, what if I just help them get on the right path? And because they have phenomenal people there, they needed support, high expectations with support. And 1 year became 2, 3, and 4. And to be honest, I drive 40 miles to be near my children. It really was one of those pieces of seeing possibility and saying that if I can come and make that kind of difference and drive 4 hours, then certainly when I transition, someone within the community or who lives in the community can continue this work on. It just really shows an example of possibility. So examples of those three things. My first year, we just found out what are the needs of the families. I wear tennis shoes, I'm boots to the ground, or we can say sneakers to the ground. And the basic need was food. So we opened up a food pantry in October of 2012.
That emerged as one of the top priorities.
Yes, ma'am.
Was food.
Food, basic needs.
Let's talk about that.
8,000 pounds of food we give out every other week, which is about 200 to 400 families. We contacted the St. Louis Food Bank, and while initially they were hesitant, then they came back and said, well, why not? Schools don't normally have food banks. We took an empty building, turned it into a food bank. So the idea is that schools are really, to me, the hands and feet of Christ. If we think about feeding, clothing, serving the sick, really schools are the center of the community, and all people have to send their children to school. So we started with the food, and then we began with the clothes and putting washer and dryers. Some schools had some washer and dryers that may have been slightly used for custodial purposes, but we repurposed washer and dryers, got some donated, and so now we have washer and dryers in every school. Parents can wash one load in exchange for 1 hour volunteerism.
Look at that.
We have parents in the school all the time. See, I've never met a parent that didn't want their child to succeed.
Right.
They just didn't have support.
Not once.
So giving them that support.
So that's a myth.
That's a relationship piece that we addressed so we can dispel that myth about what's possible. In terms of curriculum and pedagogy, we hire our teachers. We try to hire them a year early, but we have ongoing hiring fairs. We really don't have lots of openings, but if we find talent, we will invest and hire them on the spot so that we can train them for the Jennings way. So really looking at talent and making sure we recruit. We do give all of our teachers an assessment. I think we're probably one of the only districts that do that. A math or a science or an English assessment. 75% do not pass that assessment, actually.
75%.
And that assessment is really a basics assessment that's maybe 2 or 3 grade levels above where the students are. You see, you can have great will, but if you don't have the skill and know the content, it's probably not a place for you in the classroom in Jennings. And so we give an assessment, but I encourage any and all teachers hearing this to certainly come out this week on Thursday. And so we recruit ongoing. And then that pedagogy piece, the curriculum piece, so often we teach to the test and textbook. Well, you don't ever have to use a textbook as far as I'm concerned, as long as you teach to the standard and teach for mastery. And so we embed multiple opportunities for learning. We pay for students to take their ACT at least 4 times starting in their junior year. Just those kinds of things. Tutors are embedded in every school. Mental health therapists are at every school. Saturday school is in session for any student to come to. The college prep academy is in place. We place 100% of our students in post-secondary schools or in a job. So really, we have become a safe haven to say that we love your children. We are the community.
We are.
And we as a community will make sure that we continue on.
Sure.
That's why I know that when I do transition to the 14,000 students in Topeka, many of whom are in 70% or about are in poverty, to replicate this work, Jennings will be fine because we have a system approach. And it's the people in Jennings that just needed support to ensure these great things happen.
They needed support, and it looks like there was inspiration and great leadership that had come from you. You talked about the Jennings Way. Tell us about that.
Well, there's a Jennings way in my mind in terms of we're a small community and we know that relationships are everything. It's amazing when I'm on crossing guard duty in the mornings.
You're on crossing guard duty. The superintendent is on crossing guard duty. I just want to digress a little bit and talk about why that was important.
Well, first of all, and I started off, I'm a teacher. We all are teachers, whether you're a custodian or crossing guard, and where you are, I should be able to see myself. And if you can do well, then I will do well, and vice versa. And if you have that philosophy, then you're always walking in each other's shoes. And so the crossing guard is really the best way to meet people. People will talk different to you on the street than they will in a schoolhouse.
Yes, they will.
And so, or in any kind of institution like a hospital, or people will talk different on the street. And so I get a chance to meet children and be the first person to remind them what a joy it is to be going to school in the morning and give them that running start. When there's a hard night or something I should know about, or they have a need, you're the first person that gets to see them. It's a blessing to get to do that. And so I started crossing guard duty at the busiest spot where we have 3 schools on a street called Cousins in Jennings. But then later, after the Ferguson unrest, I transitioned to Jennings Station Road. It is the busiest intersection and it's near the police department. And I just wanted to make sure that during that time, people felt really comfortable about walking to school and all of those things. And I've stayed there.
Children.
Oh, yes. I love it there. Anybody that wants to do crossing guard duty and wants to volunteer, it's just a great pick me up. Or while it's wintertime, every now and then I bring hot chocolate and all the children race to get to school that day and they never know which day. But it's just another creative way to get young people to come every day to make sure they have that treat before they get to school. It's a wonderful piece.
It is a wonderful piece. Creativity and love sounds like was the magnifier for what already existed in there, because poverty still exists. And from district to district, our families are dealing with similar issues. But creatively, you found a way to support them. And then the families and the children showed up for that expectation without a problem.
Yeah, we really did. We have 100% free lunch students. But I will tell you this, on the relationship end, 30% of our staff are either parents or alumni. That's one of the models that we put in place. Absolutely.
How about that?
And we started that to close the economic gap, also to recycle the positive and joyful energy within the community. It really is that piece of, when we had the Ferguson unrest, the next day we cleaned up the streets of Ferguson and we put in our signs in our doors and on our marquees, peace and love always prevail.
Yes.
And that's that idea to teach folks in creative ways. And then the whole child support. We feed, clothe. We this year opened a hospital in our high school.
In the high school.
Funded by Washington University. We're so thankful. And right now we're going through, we'll be the first school district that'll be trauma-informed school district.
There we go.
So we have, there's this toxicity to poverty. When you don't know where your next meal is going to be or where you're going to sleep, that's stress, and it can create trauma. And often behaviors come in the classroom where we teach our teachers to know the story before you judge the behavior.
That's right.
And then work with that student. So this year we opened up our homeless shelter. We have our hospital that's in the high school. It's called the Spot Clinic, but it has a pediatrician and a variety of resources. It's a beautiful system to be a part of, and I'm so excited to show replication is possible. Some people think it's because of Jennings is small or because it's me. It's not me. The people of Jennings are making this happen, and the broader community, the St. Louis community, and it can be replicated anywhere in in any district, any size. It's a matter of how important is it to you that it happens.
That's right. That's right. And this was important to you.
So if you can change your mindset and then be inspired to change others, then there are all kinds of innovative ways to do what you need to do. And so I would share that excellence in education is possible for all students. And if you truly want to make it happen, there are so many models of success, just like Jennings, that are out there. But it is up to you to make it up in your mind and to use what you have well, and then be creative in getting partners to do what you need to do for children.
I love it. Dr. Tiffany Anderson, success and blessings to you on your way. And we will step up to do and be a part of the success that continues here. I'm so thankful for what you've done. Blessings to you, your family, your household, your path, your future, your work, and these children.
Thank you so much. And I encourage the St. Louis community to continue the work. I appreciate the prayers, especially the traveling graces people have sent my way on the highway.
That's right.
And I encourage all to continue the good fight to make sure all children are served well.
How beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for this week. If you have questions or comments or have something you'd like to include in the community calendar, you can leave a message on our message box at 314-333-8369, 314-333-8369. And for more information about our show or any of our guests, you can visit us online and listen to the podcast at Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker.com. And search Community Connection with Jade Harrell. You all be blessed, do blessed, and take care.